Hey everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about this video and I'm gonna keep it really raw and honest. I tried to do that, but it might be even more raw this time. So there's been a lot of talk in the community, in the vegan community, around very well-known influencers recently, in the past several months actually, who have decided for health reasons to no longer be vegan. And I wanted to share my thoughts. I was really reticent, to be honest, about sharing my thoughts. But I've been recently really inspired by Dr. Brene Brown's work around courage and around having conversations that can be difficult. And she says something beautiful to the effect of, even if the words you say are imperfect, the conversation is worth having. And that's how I feel. So I'll start by saying I might not say everything as perfectly as I would want to, or it may not completely resonate with you, but I think this conversation is worth having. And I'd love to share my ideas and my thoughts and hopefully my inspiration around this. I've been a medical doctor now for over 15 years. And I've been vegan now for over 8 years. I eat a raw vegan diet, and I would love to share my thoughts and my experiences. If you're interested in staying vegan, how to do so and be healthy. First thing I want to offer, it's not just possible to be vegan and healthy. Medical literature wise, it is probable, especially if you're eating a whole foods, and I believe organic diet. So if you're eating whole plant foods, natural foods, non-sprayed, not pesticide ridden, you are going to really do well in the majority of the cases. There are incredible studies that are put out from doctors such as Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, the list goes on. I will leave some links to seminal articles from the past. I've seen this with my patients over the past 15 years, and especially in the past 8 years when I started to really talk to my patients about moving to a plant foods diet. And I definitely saw it in my own life. I have a whole book called Delicious Healing, and the entire first chapter is around how me moving to a plant foods diet completely transformed my health to the better. If you're interested in that book, I will leave a link to that book in the description below. But for the plethora of cases, again, a whole foods, plant foods diet is amazing for one's health. So, second thing I want to say is that it's really important. I might look at my notes. It's really important to eat, and this is a segue from number one, a nutrient-dense organic diet, right? So not all vegan diets are the same. And if you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, but they're pesticide laden, especially foods from the Dirty Dozen, where those foods, berries, for example, really take in those chemicals, you could be doing your body a whole lot of harm. So organic is not a posh thing. Organic in this day and age, for me, is a necessity, especially for certain foods, and especially given where you are. So again, nutrient dense, which is really important. Not potato chips by Be Vegan, but that's a lot of empty calories. What I'm talking about are those foods that are antioxidant rich, your greens, if you're eating cooked food, your sweet potatoes and your tubers and your beans, and definitely fruit, whole, ripe, fresh, preferably again, organic fruit. It makes the world of difference. And it did in my body, and it does in many of the bodies that I'm privileged to take care of. Third tip, and this one I think is so crucial, and from the videos that I've seen offered by people who left veganism for purportedly health reasons, this is one thing that I would love to offer for those people. If you start feeling like you're failing on your vegan diet, that again is full of whole foods, not lots of powders and potions. I don't care if you're having a lot of adaptogens in your diet. If you're just eating a lot of powders whether or not they're supposed to be green foods that are rich, and you're doing that replacing whole foods, that's still a problem. So again, if you're eating whole foods and still with that you feel like you are failing and you're not doing as well as you could on the diet, then I highly recommend looking for like-minded health professionals to help you. There's so many vegan doctors out there. I'm not the only one. There's so many out there. And so I know that, for example, Happy Cow, the app Happy Cow, has a registry of doctors who are vegan through their app. Look for people in your area or online. I offer online Skype health consultations throughout the world. Look for like-minded people who are trained in this. So, side note, I got additional nutrition training and I've worked with MSF as a doctor, Doctors Without Borders, doing nutritional work. So look for doctors who also have additional training in nutrition and or functional MDs or naturopathic doctors who feel comfortable to talk about nutrition, and get those people on board. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of people just say, I don't feel well, but they don't have a diagnosis. So as somebody who's an MD, I do have a lot of respect for diagnostic medicine. I think some tests can be very helpful, especially if you're feeling subpar. I cannot stress the importance of finding a diagnosis, getting to the underlying reason for your issue, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to switch up my diet. You can choose to do that if you feel intuitively to do that, but if it's still not working and you're desiring to live a vegan lifestyle, get diagnosed, and get diagnosed by people that you have respect for and trust, and who have the knowledge and experience as plant-based practitioners. My sweetheart just asked a beautiful question. And he asked, what are the common foods that might be vegan, but actually can maybe derail many times people's health? So one of the things I did a whole video on MSG. So I think in general, processed foods that have a lot of preservatives, whether or not they are vegan, and there are a lot of foods like that in the grocery store. When you go to some restaurants, they'll say, oh, this dish is vegan, but there's MSG in it. There are other flavor enhancers. There's lots of preservatives. So these foods can highly derail your satiety mechanism, knowing when you're full. There are also some toxic compounds in there that can be as set up for things like leaky gut, an inflamed gut, and not being able to absorb all the minerals and nutrients you're taking in. Same thing goes for gluten for many people. So you may have celiac disease, which is true gluten sensitivity, but there's a big spectrum of gluten intolerance. And many people might not be actually celiacs, but they do have a level of gluten intolerance. And I work with people a lot in uncovering their food intolerances. And when we discover that and we eliminate that, it's incredible what happens to people's health. Get tested. Get tested and work with a trusted person who knows diagnostic medicine and who is holistic minded and plant based. The fourth thing I want to say, and I think this is so important, as a holistic doctor, it's what I live and it's what I practice and it's what I speak about. It is not all about the food. I mean that in two very different ways, or two probably connected ways. One, if you're sick, sometimes it's not about the food you're eating, especially again, if you're eating whole foods, organic foods, plant foods that are full of life and vibrance, and you're not doing well, look beyond the food. We are more than the food we eat. It's important to eat that food, that is basic. But what emotions are you experiencing? What are your relationships like? Do you get your feet bare on the ground? Are you connected to nature? How much screen time are you exposing yourself to? What is the toxicity in your life outside of food? All the organic food in the world cannot cure dis-ease of depression and anxiety and physical disease from thyroid issues, adrenal distress, hair falling out because your relationship is toxic. Go beyond the food. Health is way more than food. We can know that, but many times when we get sick, we just start looking very myopically. We say, it must be the food, it must be the food. A lot of times it's not the food. And the other way I mean that around that it's not about all about the food is, as a vegan, I'll be very honest, for me, being a vegan is not about just my health. The reason I have stayed vegan for 8 years easily is because something clicked with me that it was way beyond me. I was not interested in participating in the suffering of other beings on this planet. So for me, from the books I read, from the documentaries I saw, it was really clear that to minimize suffering that I could do, that's a personal decision, a personal belief, I didn't want to consume or participate in the consumption of animal products. That is beyond food. That for me is about, that's a talk around compassion. It's a talk around belonging. It's a talk around integrity for me. These are my personal beliefs. I have dear friends who I know who are not vegan, and I'm going to talk about that in point number 5. But I think remembering that veganism is not just about the food. Being a vegan is not about being a plant-based eater. You can be a plant-based eater and not vegan. That's fine if that's your choice. But if you're talking about wanting to stay vegan, recognizing it's not just about the food, that this lifestyle goes beyond that. And I really want to end with number 5 around this. For me, being vegan is about compassion. My 5th point is be your own guru and practice compassion. What has been heartbreaking to me around the conversation of people leaving the vegan community is the lack of compassion I've seen in the response to some of these people. Compassion is not just for the animals, as it should be, because a lot of times they are voiceless. They are voiceless. But compassion should be, I believe, also to our fellow human beings. And most of us did not come into this earth vegan. Some of us did. How beautiful. Many of us did not. It's a journey for many of us. And I think that the way we speak to each other is so important. The way we speak about each other is important. And to me, that's part of veganism. That is part of being vegan. And so if you speak to somebody without ahimsa, with violence, if you mock them, are you really vegan? I don't believe in not critiquing someone's actions. We're meant to hold each other accountable, but I believe you can do that with utmost kindness. And I've seen that be missing in some of this conversation. And I want to bring that to light here. I want to share about that. Imperfectly, but authentically. Be your own guru is part of that, because I think many people lose compassion when we put other people on pedestals, when you forget the humanity of some of these influencers, the pressure they might be under. I'm not excusing some of their behaviors, but I'm saying that when we lose the ability to understand that people are humans and are capable of making mistakes, in your eyes, making mistakes, because you've put them on this idea of them being perfect or them being your guru, then when that pedestal falls, and it always does because we are all human, compassion oftentimes goes out the window. Be your own guru. Get inspired by others, but this is your path. Decide what works for you. Follow that path with integrity and with openness and with compassion to yourself and to others. I have to say that when I've seen people be really lacking compassion to others, it's because deep down inside, they're unkind to themselves. So even those who've have been lacking compassion, be compassionate to those also. It's all a practice. Life is a practice. So that's what I have to share with you today. Again, imperfectly, really raw, but I just wanted to share my thoughts and what was on my heart. I hope something in there was resonant for you, inspired you, and uplifted you. If you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. I love being on here. Click like if you liked the video and share with others if you believe that it's of benefit to others. I want to share also that I will leave down below a link to my membership program if you're interested in doing more work with me, and also to my website if you're interested in working with me one-on-one for diagnostic purposes, for holistic health consultations. Sending you so much love currently from California. Much love.